Mom covered all expenses for their golden child's wedding and gave me nothing, so I didn't invite them to mine. Now they're upset. My parents gave birth to only 2 children, my sister, 22, and me, 22, female. I don't know what I did, but since the day my sister was born, I became almost invisible. She was the child that everyone got attached to and wanted to play with. I, on the other hand, was more withdrawn and antisocial. I liked my space right from my younger years. My sister always got what she wanted, and I had to get what my parents felt I needed. Plus, I wouldn't go to them in the first place, but whenever I did, I rarely got a positive answer. Because of that, I started to slowly dislike my sister. We were so different from each other. In high school, I was the nerd, and she was the popular kid. Most people didn't believe that we were related, and sometimes she said that I embarrassed her. That hurt me a lot. My sister had no trouble making friends or socializing whenever we got to a new place, while I would have to get comfortable first. I was also less likely to be the one to approach someone to speak. I had talents, but I was usually very shy, so only my close friends, who were very few, knew me. My best friend, male, 27, who was socially awkward like I was, always assured me that I was an amazing person. His experience was different from mine because his parents adored him, so he didn't have personality issues like I did. I was always anxious and found it hard to trust people because I thought they wouldn't see me for who I truly was, and they would treat me like my family did. I had a really hard time during my formative years, and my only voice of reason was my best friend. We were both kids, and had he known better, he would have known how to help me. You could imagine a teenager with an identity crisis growing up into an adult. That is a recipe for disaster. Now that I look back, I cringe at the things I did to get attention and please people, things that were the direct opposite of who I was and what I stood for because I wasn't comfortable in my skin. My sister, on the other hand, was blossoming, and she kept being the golden child. At the time, I didn't think that my parents knew what they did to me and how their actions affected me, but I still blame them for not being there for me. Someone could have noticed that something was up with me, but they were lost in the clouds with their baby, my sister. Years passed, and we kept growing apart. I wasn't close to my sister, and the reason is obvious. I was angry at my parents and more jealous of her. I thought that she should have noticed that she got all the attention and could have channeled some to me or at least said something to our parents. Instead, she loved the attention and laughed at me with her friends. Well, my nerdiness turned out to be in my favor because I got a full-ride scholarship and excelled in my academics and professional career. Last year, the golden child got married, and you can imagine my parents paid for everything, including her honeymoon. My mom said they were going all out for my sister's wedding because they were worried I wouldn't get married, so if this was the only wedding they were going to have, they were going to go all out for it. That didn't even hurt because I had a boyfriend before then. I wasn't ready for marriage or any relationship because I wanted to fix myself first and begin to love myself because I realized I couldn't love someone else if I didn't love myself. I couldn't get to know someone and care for them if I didn't know who I was and care for myself. After I was successful with that, I met my fiancé. I told him my story, and he seemed to love me even more despite all the mistakes I made trying to fit in. I love him. I love him with all my heart, and I am thankful to him for showing me what love is and how to love. He helped me come out of my shell, and now I don't hold back from him on anything. I know who I am, and I love me. When I got engaged, I went to my parents' house to inform them. They didn't seem as excited as they were for my sister, but that no longer bothered me. They congratulated me and then mentioned that they had spent all their money on my sister's wedding last year and couldn't contribute to mine. Plus, they didn't know I was in any serious relationship. That was where I snapped, but I said nothing to them. I no longer believed that they didn't know they were hurting me because they did this over and over again and expected me to understand. When I got home, I ripped the invitation cards I had reserved for them and my sister. When they asked for the date of the wedding and venue, I changed the subject. I think my sister saw my wedding on social media, and she told my parents. They were furious that neither of them knew my wedding date or were even invited to it. I replied, saying that space was limited, so only the most important people were invited. That worsened the situation, but I was just being brutally honest. I didn't consider them as the most important people in my life, and the wedding was a small one, so I wanted to have the most important people around me. Though I can admit that I also wanted to spite them too.